Figures out last week reported that cases of HIV in the Northwest have reached a record high. Joining me to talk about this increase is Sam Croy from Body Positive Northwest. Thank you very much for coming in, Sam. Much appreciated. Obviously it's quite a shocking when you hear things like this. Well, what do you kind of attribute the rise to?
I think, well, the difficulty is, of course, that the figures have been rising year on year on year. There hasn't actually been a reduction in HIV figures for 25 years. I think part of it at the minute is that those of us who work in this field recognise that there's a sense of the issue being dropped off the agenda.
Right.
We don't see huge poster campaigns in the way that we did in the 80s, the Monument, John Hurt's voice, telling us,
Is that quite difficult to keep that awareness, that level at an appropriate level, keep it kind of in people's minds? Because you have big campaigns and then it kind of goes away. People sort of, the issue goes, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and I think the difficulty for many people is that that education is cyclic. It's never once for all, and it needs to be repeated. Not because people are thick, but because there's a new generation coming along.
Yeah.
So we have Body Positive has a helpline that operates 12 hours a day, every day of the year. And one of the things that we find are people don't know the routes of transmission for HIV.
Right.
So we're talking about people who don't realise that actually a condom will save your life.
Yeah.
Will stop you contracting HIV.
I mean, that was something we saw in the papers only last week in the Manchester Evening News. A lot of teenagers didn't even realise that was the case. Is that the kind of something you're kind of coming up against?
Absolutely.
People just are really badly informed.
Absolutely. It's the lack of information. I've worked in this field for really since HIV popped its head over the parapet 25 plus years ago.
Yeah.
I've been out of it for a while. I came back into it when I came to Manchester. And one of the things I find astounding is the absolute ignorance around the routes of transmission for HIV.
Are there particular people that are find themselves particularly in the dark about the circumstances, or is it a particular group of people that are actually primarily affected that you've noticed?
No, I think it's across the board. To be honest, I think that we still have a rising number of gay men or men who have sex with men who are contracting HIV.
Yeah.
Even although we have a plethora of magazines and advertising around the gay community, which talk about HIV, we still have a rising figure there. But we also have a rising figure amongst the heterosexual community as well. I was very lucky on behalf of the organisation to do a day with a couple of colleagues at a girls' school in Manchester. And they're fantastic, terrifying, but fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But what struck me was that there was a real lack of information about HIV, what it was. There is an assumption that because HIV and the advent of new medication is a manageable condition, that it's okay to get it.
Yeah.
In reality, if you ask anyone who lives with HIV if they could change like that, they would.
Well, what do you feel is to be done then, Sam? From your point of view, what do you feel needs to be done to keep the issue, in the foremost in people's minds?
I think it's programmes like this. Yeah. I think it's the mass media. I think it's more work in school.
You're working with the likes of Lady Gaga and stuff as well.
Absolutely, which was fantastic. So the MTV's Rock Corps brought Lady Gaga to the premises,
right.
and we have had within I think a 72-hour period something like 33,000 global hits on our website.
Right.
Because of Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
So having Lady Gaga who appeals to that demographic of 13 through 24, 25 is fantastic. It's amazing. And what we need is more of that. We need more young people recognising their heroes are saying HIV is something you do not want to get.
Well, I mean, there's obviously a lot of work still to be done, but you mentioned the website there. Is that the best place if people are interested in or want to know more? Is that the best place to go to? Is there any other ways of?
Absolutely. I mean, if you want to look at the Body Positive website, you're more than welcome to. Yeah. The helpline is around, like I said, 12 hours a day. I think one of the things in terms of HIV itself that's hugely important to recognise is that a third, on top of the current people that we know, don't know they're living with HIV.
Right.
And as a direct result of that, are with no sense of being unkind, but are actually passing the virus from one person to another.
Well, I hope you get the message continue to spread. Obviously, I know there's a lot of work to do, but much appreciated and thanks for coming in.
My pleasure, Jerry. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers.